A sensation. Ukraine is shaking up the arms market with its own innovations. Missiles, drones, new strike systems, and that's far from just Neptunes and Flamingos. Ukrainian defense industries are churning out surprises that will soon explode on Russian territory, making the Kremlin talk about capitulation. Watch for more details right now.
Ukraine has destroyed a Russian Oreshnik on Russian territory. This was announced by the head of the SBU, Vasyl Malyuk. It has not been disclosed what specific weapon was used by the Ukrainian Special Services. Nevertheless, the Ukrainian arms industry is expanding significantly every year. Ukraine is successfully using the Neptune and Flamingo missiles to strike Russia. President Volodymyr Zelensky told journalists about this and noted that while this is not mass usage yet, there are already the first tangible results regarding these weapons.
In the future, I firmly believe that missile launches and missile attacks carried out with the Flamingo or Neptune will likely be accompanied by a greater and more diverse variety of unmanned systems and drones, each one performing its own specific function. Some will distract air defenses, some will destroy air defenses, some will create interference, and some will do suppression using electronic warfare.
The president also mentioned the use of the Polyanitsia drone missile, which has already struck enemy military depots dozens of times. The second positive trend Zelensky highlighted was the use of the Ruta drone missile, which for the first time flew 250 kilometers and hit an offshore platform.
A lot still needs to be developed specifically for the missile drone. There are analysts who say that these are all just small-sized cruise missiles. I don't quite agree with that, for one simple reason. Because usually, a cruise missile is something that has some kind of wing mechanization. That is, the missile is launched either from the air or from the ground, then these wings unfold and they generate aerodynamic lift, which allows the cruise missile to fly long distances. Our Ukrainian missile drones are the same. A fixed wing, which was installed once and for all, and which doesn't require any special launchers or special casings that are inserted into these launchers to ensure standardization.
However, the greatest success for the Ukrainians is considered to be the mass use of the Kamikaze Lyuty drone, which numbered up to 300 UAVs.
Lyuty is a system with a slightly different concept. Neither externally nor internally does it have anything in common with the Shahed. Both the control system, the guidance system, and the components it has, image recognition, target correction, artificial intelligence, none of these have anything in common with the Shahed.
The security service of Ukraine's naval drones have improved in both payload and range, now capable of striking targets over 1,500 kilometers away. They were first used in 2022 during the attack on Russian Black Sea Fleet ships in Sevastopol Bay. Since then, these drones have been constantly evolving and improving.
Our security service of Ukraine now has significantly more ways to destroy targets than it did before. And it's not just the Malyuk anymore, there are many other things as well. If there's a task for the Malyuk is used. If there's a task for other drones are used.
Since August of this year, the serial production of the Flamingo missile has been announced, capable of striking targets at a distance of 3,000 kilometers. The modernized Neptune has been successfully operating against ground targets for a year now. Currently, it can reach up to 400 kilometers. It has been announced that soon it will be able to hit targets at a distance of 1,000 kilometers.
Shocking. The Russians once again crawled like rats, trying to sneak into the rear of the Ukrainian armed forces, but Ukrainian defenders turned it into a real hell for them. Half of the invaders were eliminated on the spot. This is only the beginning of bad news for the enemy. To find out what's happening on the front line and why Russian troops are falling apart again, watch our military review.
Ukraine's defense forces struck a fuel and energy facility in Russia's Oriol. It is reported that Ukrainian Flamingo missiles were used in the strike.
Strikes on the territory of the Russian Federation, specifically strikes deep inside Russian territory at distances of over 300 kilometers, are carried out exclusively with Ukrainian weapons. These include Bober-type attack drones and accordingly aeroballistic strike systems, either the long-range Neptune or accordingly the Flamingo.
In addition to missiles, Russian strategic sites were attacked by drones, which the Russian armed forces decided to shoot down directly over residential buildings. There is no talk of Russia controlling the city of Pokrovsk or of the Ukrainian Defense Forces group being operationally encircled. This was stated by the commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Usyrsky.
According to the occupiers themselves, the Ukrainian Defense Forces have achieved tactical successes in the Pokrovsk direction, particularly in the area of Shakove. The Ukrainian Defense Forces also managed to significantly improve their tactical position in the area of Rudinsky. In the so-called Dobropilia direction, the occupiers are forced to acknowledge the successful nature of the Ukrainian Defense Forces counterattacks, aimed at preventing the expansion of the enemy's presence in areas where they have breached Ukrainian defenses.
In these shots, Ukrainian defenders carried out a fire raid and cleared enemy positions in Donbass. A similar situation awaited the Russian invaders in the Kupiansk area. Meanwhile, in the Sumy region, the occupiers tried to get behind the Ukrainian armed forces, but as a result, half of them were immediately eliminated. The rest decided to retreat and regroup with other units. Russian propaganda is calling for the destruction of Kyiv, Kharkiv, Dnipro, and other Ukrainian cities.
At the same time, they first warn, then claim not to understand, and then carry it out.
The Russian Federation wants a major war and is preparing to start it on the European continent in 2029 or 2030, said Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
A possible scenario is the implementation of the so-called Suwalki corridor, that is, the creation of a land corridor connecting Pawo cannot be ruled out. The plans of the Russian dictator involve the Republic of Belarus, Russian Montgolm, and the Kaliningrad region. And accordingly, it will pass through the territory of Poland and the Baltic states.
Meanwhile, the head of Medpolsha reported that Ukraine is ready to fight for another 3 years and wear Putin down.
The losses of the Russian occupation army have already exceeded 1 million, specifically with enormous losses among personnel. The latest decrees of the Russian dictator are related to the year-round conscription into the armed forces of the occupying country, and the second is the involvement of so-called reservists in guarding key strategic sites. Essentially, this is a covert mobilization.
Within a few weeks, the world's first drone wall is expected to be put into operation in Ukraine, designed to destroy Russian attack drones. According to one of the founders of the developer company, the system has already been sent to our country.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism, and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now.
Shocking. Ukraine has lost its satellite. Sich 230 has left orbit. The mission is over. We are temporarily without eyes in space. But here comes a surprise. The Czech Republic is giving Ukraine a new eye of war. Our journalists have looked into what the new space wars are capable of and what prospects they open up for Ukraine.
A satellite for Ukraine. On October 21, 2025, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Czech Republic announced that as a sign of support for Ukraine, it would gift it an Earth observation satellite. This information appeared in October when the last operational Ukrainian satellite, Sich 230, completed its mission.
Satellites play an extremely important and very significant role today. And we all remember how concerned we became when there was a moment when the United States refused to provide satellite data to Ukraine.
Sich 230 fell and most likely burned up in the atmosphere on October 8th off the coast of American Alaska. This was reported by the National Center for Space Facilities Testing and Control. Now it needed a replacement.
Let's not forget that Ukraine also has Finnish satellites, which were essentially gifted to Ukraine as well, such as through international cooperation. And Ukraine can use them too. And the Finnish satellites. But let's also not forget about the essential Starlink equipment and the important access to data from the satellites of Ukraine's international partners. First and foremost, of course, the United States.
Which specific satellite the Czech Republic will give to Ukraine is still unknown. The previous one was launched into its designated orbit by a Falcon launch vehicle on January 13, 2022, by SpaceX with 9 companies involved. After that, contact was established with it and it was confirmed that the onboard equipment was functioning properly. At the time, the President's office stated that the digital images transmitted by the satellite to Earth could be used in agriculture and forestry, cartography for monitoring water resources, emergency and disaster monitoring, as well as in security and defense for detecting illegal activities.
Satellites They perform several important tasks during wartime. First and foremost, of course, is reconnaissance. Communication on the battlefield is also extremely important. And in fact, the fact that Ukraine was the first to have Starlink systems gave it a significant advantage at the start of the full-scale invasion.
Even though the Russians have now brought their satellite industry to decline in their own country, it was once at its peak and is now helping the Kremlin wage war against our country.
Russia is also currently making use of data that is being provided from Chinese satellites. This situation indicates that Russia's own satellite constellation, which is currently in orbit, is not sufficient to meet all of its needs at this time, and as a result, it is being forced to rely on and utilize Chinese satellites as well in order to supplement its capabilities.
We can say that the Ukrainian satellite industry is now at the stage of its inception. With the support of its allies, it has every chance to become promising and competitive in the world.
That's all for now. And for more hot news from the front, tune in to our next episode.